Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really going back, looking at Noah right after the flood.
That immediate aftermath, yeah.
Exactly. We're using excerpts from Noah's Covenant and Descendants as our guide. And our mission, really, is to get to the heart of this narrative for you. You know, the covenant, how the world gets repopulated, and then some, well, surprising family stuff that happens.
Uh,
So let's just dive right in. The ark has landed, the water's gone down. What's the first thing that happens between God, Noah, and his sons?
well, it's pretty striking. God speaks, and it's like a total reset. The very first thing is that command, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth.
Echoes of Genesis 1, right?
Absolutely, it's a clear signal.
Yeah.
Humanity is meant to thrive again and to fill this cleansed earth.
A fresh start, but massive. And it's interesting how the relationship with animals changes so drastically.
It really does.
Now, animals will fear humans, and they're given as food, which feels very different from Eden.
Yeah, it's a big shift. Before it was plants, now animals are permitted too.
Why do you think that changed?
Well, it could reflect that, the changed world. Maybe a harsher reality post-flood. Sustenance might be harder to come by.
Makes sense.
But this permission, it comes with a really important catch. Don't eat meat with its blood still in it.
And that's not just about diet, is it?
No, not at all. It seems to be this constant reminder about the value, the sanctity of life itself. Even when you have to take a life to eat, there's a line, a respect that needs to be shown.
And that respect for life, it gets even stronger when it talks about human life.
Definitely. It says, basically, if a life is taken, whether by an animal or another human, there's accountability.
And the reason given is huge. For God made human beings in his own image. What's the weight of that right there?
Oh, it's foundational. It means every single human life has this inherent value, this dignity, because it reflects something of the divine. So taking a life isn't just, well, it's not just murder. It's like violating God's image in the world.
That sets a massive ethical boundary for this new world.
Exactly. It's ground zero for ethics, in a way.
And then, almost immediately, God repeats the command. Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, just hammering it home.
Like, okay, the slate is clean. These are the rules. Now go. It reinforces the primary mission.
Right. And then we get to the covenant. This is central, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely central. God says, I hereby confirm my covenant. And listen to who it's with. You and your descendants, and with all the animals, every living creature on earth.
Wow. Not just Noah, not just people, everything that was on the boat.
Everything alive. The scope is just immense. And the promise itself. Never again will floodwaters kill all living creatures. Never again will a flood destroy the earth.
Imagine hearing that after seeing, well, everything destroyed by water. The reassurance must have been incredible.
Unimaginable relief, I would think. And then there's the sign.
The rainbow.
Yes, the sign of my covenant with you and with all the earth. It's not just weather. It's presented as this deliberate visual reminder from God. A pledge.
It's interesting you mentioned pledge, like a formal agreement.
Exactly. The idea of a covenant, a formal treaty or agreement, was actually a pretty common concept back then in the ancient Near East. So people hearing this story originally would have understood that framework. God is making a binding promise.
So every rainbow is like a flashback to that promise. That's quite powerful. Okay, so who's tasked with the being fruitful and multiplying part? Noah's sons.
Right. Shem, Ham, and the text specifically notes he's the father of Canaan, which becomes important later, and Japheth.
And it says flat out, everyone on earth descends from these three. That's quite a statement.
It really is. It sets up the whole genealogical map for the rest of the Hebrew Bible, basically, tracing all nations back to this single family.
Okay, but then things take a very human turn, don't they?
Aha, yes they do. Noah, the righteous hero, plants a vineyard.
A man of the soil now.
Yep. And he has a bit too much wine, gets drunk, and passes out naked in his tent.
It's kind of shocking almost. After everything, shows even the greatest figures are still human, still fallible.
It really humanizes him, doesn't it? It adds this layer of, well, messiness. And it sets up what happens next. Even after the flood, human nature is still human nature.
So Ham sees his father like this, and instead of quietly covering him up, he goes and tells his brothers. What's going on there?
Well, his actions are contrasted directly with Shem and Japheth. They take a cloak, walk backwards so they don't see their father's nakedness, and cover him.
Very respectful. Deliberately so.
Exactly. So Ham's actions, seeing and then telling, can be read as, well, deeply disrespectful, a lack of honor maybe, a breach of family piety.
Okay. And this leads to Noah waking up, finding out what happened, and Well, he reacts strongly, but he doesn't curse Ham.
No, interestingly, he curses Canaan, Ham's son. May Canaan be cursed. May he be the lowest of servants to his relatives.
Why Canaan? Why skip Ham? That's puzzled people for ages.
It really has. There are many interpretations. Maybe it's showing how a parent's actions, their disrespect, could have consequences down the line for their descendants. Perhaps it foreshadows later conflicts involving the Canaanites. It's complex.
Definitely complex. It feels like it's about respect, responsibility, and how actions ripple outward.
Those themes are certainly central to this whole incident. Respect within the family, the weight of one's actions.
And then the blessings for Shem and Japheth are just as specific.
Right. Shem gets a blessing invoking God. May the Lord, the God of Shem, be blessed. And may Canaan be his servant.
And Japheth.
Japheth gets expansion. May God expand the territory of Japheth. And prosperity, sharing in Shem's. And again, may Canaan be his servant.
So it's setting up a kind of social, even geopolitical order among their descendants.
It seems to be outlining specific relationships and, yes, a hierarchy. It's crucial to remember, though, that how these verses have been used throughout history is a whole other story, often reflecting later biases.
It's a very important point. Okay, finally, the text mentions Noah's lifespan. He lives another 350 years after the flood.
Totally 950 years, just incredible numbers.
Puts it all in a very different time frame, doesn't it? Almost mythical.
These long lifespans in early Genesis are fascinating. Some see it as symbolizing maybe a fading vitality from creation, or perhaps it's a literary device to span vast amounts of time in history quickly within the narrative.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. Key takeaways seem to be this huge, universal covenant God makes, symbolized by the rainbow, a promise for all life.
Yes, stability after chaos.
Then this intense focus on the value of human life, rooted in being made in God's image.
A foundational ethical principle.
And then this really complicated, messy family situation with Noah and his sons, leading to these curses and blessings that echo down through their descendants.
Right. The covenant gives hope, divine commitment.
Yeah.
But the family story reminds us that, human relationships, actions, consequences, they remain complex, even in this new beginning. It sets the stage for future social dynamics in the text.
So as we finish, maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. This covenant wasn't just with humans. It included every living creature. How might really reflecting on that, a divine promise encompassing all life, how might that shape how you see our place, our responsibilities here on Earth?
That extension to all creatures is definitely something worth pondering. What does that mean for us today?